It's 10:16 on the Jeff Blair Show. That's Jeff Salmon. My name is George Russick. Joining us now on the line, he covers the New York Islanders for WFAN and CBS New York, Daniel Friedman. Daniel, thanks for doing this. We're hearing a report that just two more years of Charles Wong, and he's out as New York Islanders owner. Should my friend Jeff Salmon to the right of me be thrilled about this news?
Give me some good news, Daniel.
Well, I mean, there's certainly reason to be excited, I think, even before the 2 years are up, because the bottom line is these guys, Ledecky and Malkin, they're going to be minority owners, and even though they're going to be minority owners, they have deep pockets, and you'd like to think that maybe they'll be able to support Wang with some more cash that maybe he couldn't come up with, even if maybe they don't have as big of a say in the decision-making process. So I think right from the start that definitely helps. You have new energy in the rooms. You want to say you have more money added to the pot to maybe spend in improving the team. So I think it's a good thing right away. And in 2 years, when Charles Wong takes a back seat and becomes a minority owner while these two guys run the show, then they become at the forefront and you have a change in the guard, so to speak. So I think it is a very exciting time for Islander fans and for your co-host for sure.
So how did we get here with Charles Wong? Because I thought he was a guy that really dreamed big, and you can look at a couple of ideas that he would have had and went, oh, really? But one, he really wanted to keep the team, at least I felt, in Long Island. He wanted to not only build an arena, but just a whole complex that would be surrounding the New York Islanders and their home. It seemed like he dreamed big. Did he do enough to try to make that happen? Did he exhaust that as much as he could? Like, how did we get here with Charles Wong?
Well, I think as far as trying to keep the team on Long Island, this is a guy who did everything we could, and I think we've spoken about this before. And I think whatever Islander fans want to think of this guy, you owe the fact that the Islanders still exist, that they still play here in New York, you owe that to Charles Wong, because this team could have been playing anywhere. It could have been in Quebec City, it could have been Kansas City, it could have been anywhere. And Charles Wong, really believes in this team. He did everything he could to keep the team here. The politics in Nassau County here on Long Island are, they're impossible to deal with. He offered to pay for this thing himself. He couldn't get it. He offered to do a partnership with taxpayers. He couldn't get it. And ultimately, he decided to move the team to Brooklyn, which is keeping it as local as possible. When at that point, he could have moved the team anywhere else. And so I think you have an owner who really did believe in keeping the team here and did everything he can. So at the very least, for what they did on the ice, maybe you want to say he could have done more, and you'll be angry at him about that. But as far as keeping the team here, this is a guy who did everything, and I think more than you should have expected from an owner.
But Daniel, what's the temperature of the Islanders fans in Long Island? They're losing their team to Brooklyn. They're moving out of the Nassau Coliseum finally. This is the final season there. How excited are people on the island themselves that, we have new owners, but yeah, they could flourish in the city of Brooklyn? Are people just meh about this whole situation?
Well, I don't think anything has changed since the new owners as far as what the team's moved to Brooklyn. I think whatever fans thought before of the move to Brooklyn, that stays the same regardless of who owns the team. I think you have very mixed feelings about this. It really depends on where you live, depends on your mode of transportation, depends on if you work whether or not you work in the city. Depending on who you are, this is either a very good move or a bad move, and depending on, I think very much what year you were born in. If you have more of an attachment to the dynasty years, I think you tend to feel stronger about the connection to Long Island than, say, the fan who was born in the 1990s and witnessed Ziggy Palffy and Robert Reichel and Brian Solinsky. So I think it really depends on who you are. But certainly the focus this year, and this is something that Howie Rose, the Islanders sales fan out stuff last night, should be on the Coliseum this year, not necessarily ahead to the move to Brooklyn. But really, it's going to be a very sentimental year, and I think the move to Brooklyn is a very touchy subject. I think you have mixed feelings all across the board.
Now, the new owners, former Washington Capitals co-owner Jonathan Ledecky and investor Scott Malkin, what of these guys? What do you know about them, and what are your expectations of them as Islanders owners?
Well, we know that Ledecky, he's a non-executive chairman of the board of Forbes. He's a philanthropist now. He's someone who obviously he's got deep pockets. He funds a lot of different scholarships and foundations. And Malkin, he is not at the center for the Pittsburgh Penguins, unfortunately, but he's founder and chairman of Value Retail. He's done very well for himself in the retail business. He lives in London right now, but These guys have deep pockets, and they were roomed together in Harvard years back, so they go way back. So, and that's courtesy of Eric Hornick, who's a statistician for MSG Broadcast, Islander MSG Broadcast. He kind of dug this stuff up. So that's what we know about them, and whether or not they're going to send. Again, it's hard to tell right at the beginning, but you'd like to think there's new energy in it, and they have deep pockets, so you'd like to think they're going to help. But again, it's hard to tell for sure until they actually step up and until we see the results. But it certainly has the potential to be something very good for this franchise.
Covers the Islanders for WFAN and CBS New York. Daniel Friedman here on the Jeff Blair Show. That's Jeff. I'm George. Daniel, is their number one job to cozy up to superstar John Tavares, a guy who is signed at $5.5 million all the way to the 2017-2018 season? And you talk about this team and how this influx of cash should help the team. Do you see the Islanders spending right up to the cap? And how imperative or important is it to build a relationship right away with these new owners, with their star player, to keep him in the Islander jersey essentially for his whole career?
Well, I think that's an important step for any owner of any team, whether you're new, whether you've been there for years. You have to be on good terms with your star players, otherwise, they may want to leave. I think that's important for anybody. But I think the fact that Charles Wong is staying in the mix, even in minority, that should help smooth things over, because the Islanders superstars tend to have, for whatever reason, they tend to have a very good relationship with Charles Wong. So hopefully that should help. But yeah, of course that's important. But I think, and this is something we just talked about, but I think the biggest priority for these guys and for anyone who's going to own the Islanders or be involved in the Islanders is how to get these Islander fans who are very on the bridge, on the fence about this move to Brooklyn, how to get them excited about this, how to convince them that this is a good thing. I think that almost supersedes anything, because if they can't convince Islander fans to come to Brooklyn, if they can't draw, if it doesn't do well, then this team is going to be in a lot of trouble, and who knows what happens then. If this move ends up being disastrous, maybe they do it back to Long Island. Who knows? It's a conversation for probably 15, 20 years from now. But that's, I think, the biggest order priority. But in terms of franchise superstars, that should be an important thing for any owner. Certainly these guys too.
What is the ownership, or how does that affect Garth Snow and his future with the New York Islanders?
Well, I think he's safe for now. I'm not sure that he's got this get out of jail free card like people seem to say. Even with Charles Wong still aboard for 2 years, I think obviously Wong and Garth Snow have a good relationship. Garth Snow, I think, has done a better job over the years than people give him credit for. Last year was horrendous, there's no question. But I think if the team wins, it's not really going to matter. I think that but I do think that he is fighting for his job. He knows, even whether it's now or in 2 years, he's got to impress these guys. And also Charles Wong, he's got to impress. Look, if the team flounders forever, I'm not sure that he's going to keep him aboard. So I think that for Garth Snow, I don't think this changes much.
Daniel, how pumped up are the Islanders that they have to pay one more year to Alexei Yashin at $2.2 million?
I'm sure they're excited to get that over with. It's an era that unfortunately went sour, and it's easier not to focus on it, but the fact that the Islanders are kind of on the verge of doing something special with their young talent now. So it hasn't been as much of a distraction as it was in past years.
Daniel Friedman of CBS WFAN in New York. Daniel, we always go to you when we talk, and we're happy to do it. Thank you, Daniel. Appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you.